First You Think is a not-for-profit ministry of the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. Support us at ucdsm.org today.
My name is Faithyna Leonard. My pronouns are she, her, and as Barb was telling you earlier, I serve as the Faith Formation and Congregational Life Coordinator here at this church. My sermon today is called Navigating Queer Faith. My journey has been a complex tapestry woven from the upbringing in Marshalltown, Iowa, my visits to Jefferson City, Missouri, and my experiences of balancing different Christian traditions and personal identity. I hope my story resonates with those who may have faced similar struggles and that it offers some comfort and hope. Having divorced parents left me to feel like I was growing up in two worlds. I was raised by parents who had two distinct Christian beliefs, Southern Baptist and Lutheran. These are very different, and I was very much constantly balancing between them. For a quick overview, Southern Baptist was a much more conservative religion with stricter rules. A lot of value was placed on the nuclear family with the white picket fence. Baptists are also stemming from the Puritans, who were a very huge movement on rebaptizing and purifying their disciples. While Lutheran gave some leniency, there was still a lot of pressure put on the nuclear family. Lutherans came from a branch of the Catholic faith with the belief of you do not have to pay God and no actions can be done to earn God's grace. It must be gifted. Adding to this, I am also part Cherokee, and I have always felt a deep connection to spirituality that emphasizes the balance of the universe and God's creation. My religious journey was like walking a tightrope, and often at times I was trying to reconcile these various aspects of my identity. I found my religious experience very tough as I got older because I struggled to align with a lot of my church's values and often felt disconnected from the teachings of world issues and politics. As I entered middle school, my internal struggles began to intensify. In sixth grade, I realized I was aligning more with the queer community. When a close friend brought a same-gender date to the middle school dance, it struck me not only did it not bother me my friend brought her date of the same gender to our dance, it made me think that I might like to do that too. But I kept silence about my sexuality for years, trying to figure out my place within both my religious upbringing and the queer community, finding my perfect label or box to fit into. Still being raised in firm Christian households, I felt really alone and scared to talk about my sexuality. Fear of my parents' response kept me from sharing my true self with them for years. When I did finally come out to my parents, they were initially taken aback, but tried to show their support. However, I was asked not to bring it up at our family gatherings or church events. I later came to find it was others' shames to be seen with me or purely ashamed for their lack of understanding. This was a painful period, which was only enhanced when I was outed by someone who I had entrusted. Some were welcoming, while others sought to use that religion that guided me against me. I felt very isolated. I was embarrassed to attend my church and any events and worried about the whispers and the judgments of others. I felt ashamed and angry. I truly hated myself for something I believed that was wrong with me. I often felt panic attacks come forward, sometimes fully developing when trying to step into a church setting. I shut myself off from queer spaces and punished myself for something that was never wrong. I could not understand why God made me this way if God thought it was wrong to be so. I stepped away from my faith for years because that environment just became too painful. It wasn't until I had a conversation with another member of the queer community that I learned it was okay to align both as a queer and religious space. They told me that God wanted their disciples to be loving to one another. The thing that they told me that stuck with me the most was God loves all their children, and I was included. Slowly, I began to rebuild my relationship with God and accepted my identity as a queer woman. I became involved in my college's religious life. I opened up more about my sexuality and found solace in God again. To this day, I still find myself reserved about my sexuality and religious identity out of fear of hate or judgment. In fact, the prospect of giving this sermon on this topic was very terrifying to me, and I love public speaking. Today, I continue my spiritual journey, learning to surround myself with people who accept me. I think less of labels of my identity, but more of my values. I strive to leave the world better than I found it, always being kind, given within my means, and living my truth. I still believe and seek solace in God, and while I still deal with shame from time to time, I have grown more comfortable with myself, and I am taking ownership of my religious and sexual identity and moving forward. To anyone here today who has faced similar struggles, know that your identity does not invalidate your spiritual journey. Take the time to step back from the upbringing you were put into, research, get exposure to different experiences, and create your own sense of identity. You do not need a label to be valid in any space. Once you accept yourself, your spiritual journey can truly begin. I recognize my journey is still in process, and I'm still figuring out what I believe is my purpose. But it is a beautiful journey I get to navigate with ones I trust. I leave you with this. However you identify and whoever you love does not invalidate your spiritual journey. Thank you for giving me this space to share my story. I hope it resonates with someone here today. Everyone's experience is valid, and you truly do matter. May we all find the balance and acceptance we need in our lives and continue to walk our spiritual journeys with grace and love. Thank you.